What's up, guys? Ian here, coach of your Ladner Lanturn, bringing you guys our Week 9 Team Builder for aABL Season 5. We're taking on Retro and the Universal Umbreon. Retro's got a pretty interesting team here. He's got the Z Kyurem Black, Diggersby, which we traded to him for Hippowdon, Vaporeon, Alolan Muck, Sigilyph, Lurantis, Z Spiritomb, Mega Diancie, Staraptor, Z Buzzwole, Raikou, and Typhlosion. So some very high budget threats here. Things like Kyurem Black, things like Mega Diancie, Buzzwole, Raikou, and then some low budget threats, in my opinion, things like Lurantis and Typhlosion, and Spiritomb. Priority options in the Diggersby with Quick Attack, the Alolan Muck with Shadow Sneak, Spiritomb with Sucker Punch, and Staraptor with Quick Attack. Hazard setting in the Diggersby with Spikes and Mega DNC with Rocks, so fairly lacking on the actual hazard setting side of things. Removal options are the Sigilyph with Defog, Lurantis with Defog, and Staraptor with Defog, so no spinners, but he does have a Mega DNC to prevent rocks from going up. Luckily, basically any steel type that gets rocks doesn't have to worry about Magic Bounce Mega DNC. In terms of what I'm really realistically expecting versus not expecting this week, I don't think Raikou shows up. It's kind of the only thing, like Raikou and Lurantis, but Lurantis is like a maybe. Lurantis can break through some things pretty easily, but then really struggles to break through others. Mons like Zapdos, Mega Charizard X, Lurantis doesn't really have a good matchup against, and I think that something like a Sigilyph would make a lot more sense in that slot. Raikou, I have triple ground on my team now, so there's really no point in Raikou coming for any of that. I think Kyurem Black is definitely a must-bring. I'm thinking that Alolan Muck is likely going to come, but is also kind of on my iffy list because of all my ground types. I think Buzzwole is coming 100% to be an Excadrill wall. I think that's the best option he has as an Excadrill wall. I think Vaporeon is coming physically defensive as a Megazord X check. I wouldn't be surprised if I saw Typhlosion. Typhlosion's a gigantic threat. Mega Diancie's another offensive threat. So there's a few things on there that I could definitely see coming. Again, I'm sort of iffy on Lurantis, Muck, and Raikou. Everything else I think could come, so any 6 of those 9. If you didn't know, you probably didn't, because I just found out myself, we actually clinched a playoff spot with Shuckle King's win over Zach. So the lowest I can fall now is 7-3, and the highest that Zach can get is 6-4. And he's the fifth seed, just outside of playoffs. So we are 100% clinched into playoffs, which is amazing because it means I don't really have to try these last 2 weeks. It doesn't really matter all that much to me who my round 1 seed is, although I'd prefer not to play Shuckle King. It really doesn't matter to me. I have options there in terms of what I would want to do. I've made quite significant changes to my team that probably change that matchup either in my favor or against my favor. I haven't looked at it, but it changes the aspect of that match enough that I would be fine with taking him on in round 1 if I had to. So in terms of what I'm bringing, let's start with Zapdos then. I'm bringing a physically defensive Zapdos. This is designed to take on the Buzzwole and the Diggersby. Large threats against my team. It can also switch into the Vaporeon reasonably safely. Mons like Staraptor get pretty hard walled by the Zapdos to an extent. Double Edge is still going to do a ton of damage just because Zapdos doesn't have the best bulk in the world, but I can definitely threaten it, and Static makes that thing a lot harder to switch into a lot harder for him to handle me switching into Staraptor. I have Heat Wave over Air Cutter because it's not compatible with Static. Otherwise, I would have Air Cutter for sure, but Heat Wave is there for the Buzzwole. I guess it's just super effective coverage for the Buzzwole, and it's something to hit the Kyurem Black with neutrally. Excuse me. Might pick that thing off if it's a slow variant and whatnot. This is my best way to deal with a Sigilyph. If it's Calm Mind Sigilyph, I lose. I have no qualms about that. I'm kind of just ready to lose to Calm Mind Sigilyph, and it doesn't really matter to me at all because I'm already clinched, so I have no problems with that. I've got Toxic on here as well for anything that might want to switch in besides that. Mons like Raikou, Mons like Diggersby that I can't really hit anyways, that I need Heat Wave for. Getting a Toxic on those are fine. And then Discharge is there to pair with Static to get a bunch of paralysis spread around this team. That's an ideal scenario for me, is that I paralyze like a ton of Mons, and then I can just work from there. I'm Rocky Helmet rather than Lefties because I'm anticipating that I can get Static and Discharge paras, and I would rather punish the physically offensive Mons a lot harder when they're trying to attack me than being more of a passive wall. I'd rather be a little bit more of an active wall in the sense that I can have Rocky Helmet. Oh, pardon me. If Audon's next, I'm running a Smooth Rock set. because I've got my Diggersby, of course, and I'm running Sandrush Diggersby this time, so I've got the Smooth Rock there to keep up sand for a while. A few things on his team actually really don't appreciate Sand Chip. Mons like Vaporeon just really do not appreciate Sand Chip at all, and my team doesn't really overly care about it too much. Obviously, that's one of the reasons why I might want to bring Leftovers on Zapdos, is because the sand damage is going to change some roles. But the Hippowdon is especially defensive, and it's designed to be able to take on Mons like Mega Diancie. Mons like Spiritomb, and in fact, it's mainly just the Mega Diancie. I can definitely take on Raikou with this, like, no doubt, but this is 100% my Mega Diancie switch. Kyurem Black does not give a crap about either Zapdos or Hippo, so I really have to be careful around how I play against the Kyurem Black. It's the biggest threat on the team, and I have absolutely nothing on my team that can check it, so yeah, 12 Mons, and I have nothing that deals with Kyurem Black. It's just kind of how it is. It's just how that Mon is as a Pokemon as well. I've got Whirlwind on here in case I can, like, Hippo's got pretty decent physical defense, so I can definitely take physical hits from things. Oh, this is my Typhlosion check as well. I forgot about that. But yeah, I do have Whirlwind there to Whirlwind things out. I can threaten something like a Mega Diancie turn 1 because I'm not hitting it on the special side, and so I can get up Rocks in its face potentially, or at the very least I can just Earthquake. Rocks are going to be super useful to wear down the Typhlosion and make sure that it doesn't have the ability to be clicking Eruption over and over and over again. I'd much rather pressure that thing to try and miss Fire Blasts. And then I've got Slack Off for my own recovery. Obviously, this is like completely walled by Sigilyph Hippo, but I do have the Whirlwind to phase that thing out if it is going to start setting up on me. And I've got a very viable switch into the Staraptor and my Zapdos, Staraptor and the Lurantis, which are things that would appreciate the Earthquakes. Same with Buzzwole. So Hippo's got a pretty solid matchup here, and he might be a little bit regretting trading me Hippo given the matchup that it has against him, but it sort of empowers my Diggersby in this matchup as well, which has an amazing matchup. So Life Orb Drill has a really good I apologize if I just said Diggersby. Could be completely wrong, but Life Orb Drill has just an amazing matchup here, especially when I can run Adamant. Like I mentioned earlier, I've got really good checks to his flying types and whatnot, but I also have coverage on this to be able to hit the mons that would appreciate Earthquake. So Earthquake becomes a very spammable move in this game, almost 100% of the time. I can click Earthquake and then do something else. So Iron Head is there for the Staraptor and the Sigilyph. It's a little bit more relevant when I can break through something like Kyurem Black with it than running perhaps Rock Slide is super effective coverage for either of those. I'd much rather have the Stab, especially because it gives me an out against the Lurantis if it's weakened, instead of trying to hit trying to click Aerial Ace against it. I've also got the Aerial Ace there for the Buzzwole. It's pretty crucial coverage that I get the Aerial Ace off on the Buzzwole, and if I'm at +2, I should be able to kill it. Even if he's physically defensive, maybe? I'm not entirely sure on that one. Again, I'm also not sure if he's going to bring physically defensive Buzzwole as his Excadrill check. It makes the most sense in my mind as an Excadrill check, but I'll have to worry about that later. A couple things to note. The Sigilyph, if it's a Psycho Shift set, I'm going to scout it and go into my Charizard because I don't want my Drill to be taking a Psycho Shift. If he's like Scarf Sigilyph or whatever, then that's a problem too. But I'm running out of speed on this Excadrill here for Scarf Raikou. So I'm outspeeding the fastest Scarfer on his team in Sand. I can't outspeed things like Rock Polish Mega Diancie anyways. Like off the top of my head, I should be able to outspeed his entire team as long as my Excadrill's in Sand, and I can still be Adamant, which is pretty insane. So the power output here is going to be pretty intense, especially if I can get up an SD on a switch or something like that. Then it puts me in a much better spot. I'd probably prefer to have sub over SD, but I felt like I needed that little bit of extra power against something like the Buzzwole. And if I was sub, I wouldn't be running Life Orb. I would be running something else. So just leaves my options open here, and this is a great way of having speed control against his team when he has no weather at all. He has to run like manual weather setting, so to be able to counter me. Something like a Z Sunny, well, he's not even Z user Typhlosion, but something like a Z Sunny Day Typhlosion would make a lot of sense here. In fact, I'm not actually sure why Buzzwole's a Z user on this team. I think that Typhlosion would be a much better candidate for that sort of thing. Charizard's next, just a very basic Dragon Dance, 3 attacks, Charizard X. This puts in quite a lot of work as well. Thunder Punch. I've got the Earthquake there for something. I think it's there for the Diancie. And that's about it. I've got Thunder Punch there for the Vaporeon, but I could probably run Dragon Claw. Let me actually just run a calc on this one real quick to see if I have to live edit or not. Because I just looked at his team, and I think I'd rather have Dragon Claw for the Kyurem Black than Flare Blitz. But if I'm at +1 anyways, I'll use Dragonite X +1. Oh, the calculator seems to be a little bit broken, and it's not putting in Tough Claws as my ability when I Mega Evolve. Okay, so, I mean, against No Bulk Kyurem Black, +1 Flare Blitz is killing after rocks for sure. So as long as I can get a little bit of chip on the Kyurem Black, then I don't really need Dragon Claw, and I'd be fine with this moveset. I'm curious, though, about Vaporeon. It actually takes like half from Flare Blitz, even if he's Fizz-Def. Let me just throw on Dragon Claw and Thunder Punch. So Dragon Claw is actually a 2-shot anyways against the Vaporeon, and Thunder Punch doesn't do that much extra. So I actually think I am going to change Thunder Punch to Dragon Claw, just to give myself a guaranteed kill against the Kyurem Black, even without chip. And it looks like I don't need that anyways. The Vaporeon's most likely either going to click Haze or Roar against my Charizard, and so if I can get the, you know, Thunder Punch would be nice in that scenario, but Dragon Claw will be enough to threaten it out. It's really the speed drops that I care about losing, because the speed increase is super important against the Mega Diancie. If I don't have that speed increase, then I can't deal with the Mega Diancie, and so I definitely need Earthquake to deal with that. It's a nice way to be able to break the Alolan Muck and not take recoil damage, because I'm not running a bulky Zard like I have been most season with Roost. That's been most of my Zard sets have been like reasonably almost no attack and running a lot of HP investment alongside Roost with like 2 coverage moves. So I'm definitely I'm pretty pleased with how this one is going to work out in theory. Oh, I also have to have Earthquake there for the Typhlosion because of Flash Fire potentially. But yeah, that's the Charizard X. I'm Speed Tying the Staraptor. That's pretty much all you need to know about it. Abomasnow's next. What is going on here? Let me just change those IVs to be proper. Oh, that's not the right one. There we go. I don't know why Showdown's like broken or something recently, and it keeps changing the hidden power. Like once you put in a hidden power, it'll change the IVs to be the proper IVs for that hidden power, but it's forgetting that bottle caps are a thing in Gen 7, so that's super weird. And it may have affected my speed creeping, I'm not entirely sure. Running Scarf Abomasnow once again. So Abomasnow's actually come to quite a few games. It's got a decent offensive matchup against a lot of teams. Fairly heavily specially invested this game with Blizzard, Energy Ball, HP Flying. HP Flying obviously there for the Buzzwole, and I'm Scarf, so I should outspeed it in theory. Scarf Blizzard deals with a lot of stuff, and Energy Ball is able to deal with the Vaporeon that Scarf Blizzard wouldn't. This team is actually relatively weak to Ice overall. It's just the Vaporeon and the Typhlosion that are actual Ice resists on the team, so as long as I have coverage for those, which I do. I've got Energy Ball and Earthquake for those. Then I should be relatively okay here. Typhlosion is going to be a little bit of a problem for this Abomasnow, though, and in general, my team in general, I honestly think that Zardex is probably going to have to be the main switch into that, which really sucks because I'm not running the bulky Roost set. That's why I made the Hippo specifically to deal with Typhlosion, but I can't deal with it. I know that for sure. I'm running enough speed on here for Diancie. I can't actually outspeed Raikou. Excuse me. I cannot actually outspeed the Raikou, and if he's opting to speed time my Persian, that means that the Raikou is going to outspeed this for sure. But I can at least speed tie the Diancie, and Energy Ball is going to blow that thing back. So I'm very pleased with the Abomasnow and the amount of work that it could potentially put in. Again, HP Flying is just there for the Buzzwole, and I went with a more specially offensive set because I just have Earthquake for physical coverage. Last but not least is the Ferrothorn. This is my Spiker this week because Hippo is my rocker, and Hazard Stack does pretty well against this team. Spikes don't do a ton, but I obviously do threaten out the Mega Diancie with both my rocker and my Spiker. I'm running Mono Gyro Ball with Leech Seed, Protect, and Spikes and Okaberry. This is my best switch into the Kyurem Black. So that's what the Okaberry is there for, is for potential HP fires running around, and then I can just Gyro Ball it in the face, or get a Leech Seed off, start stalling it out with some Protects, If it's sub Kieran Black, I'm probably sitting in a world of hurt, honestly. Sub Kieran Black would be like worst case scenario for me. And it's very feasible against my team just because of how my speed tier distribution works. It would require me to bring a Scarfer and get the Scarfer in against the Kieran Black safely, which is not a very easy task. So that's kind of what I got going on here with the Ferrothorn, is that it's just really specially defensive. Punish things with spikes. Excuse me. In theory, setting up both of my hazards, at least one layer of spike and rocks, should be enough to put most things in range of Excadrill, if not all of them. Magic Guard Sigilyph being the exception to that in most cases, but physically defensive Vaporeon would be his best check other than Buzzwole, and I'm Life Orb Drill, so, and I'm actually Adamant rather than Jolly. Yeah, I'm two-shotting Fizdef Vaporeon with Earthquake. It's a chance to two-shot after leftovers, 85% chance to shot after leftovers. And then Buzzwole, if he's Fizdef, and I've got Aerial Ace, because I'm not running Rapid Spin. Yeah, so if he's Fizdef Buzzwole and I'm running Aerial Ace, then I two-shot the Buzzwole with Aerial Ace as well. So it can't switch in. As long as I've got it a little bit weakened, it cannot switch into to Aerial Ace. Rocks and one layer of Spike. It's a guaranteed... it's guaranteed Oko, but that is Rocks and a layer spike is 24% against the Buzzwole. I believe it's 12 and 12 because Buzzwole is neutral to Rocks because of the bug typing. So Earthquake into Aerial Ace plus hazard damage should be able to kill with leftovers. I could be wrong though. In terms of what I'm not bringing, okay, Slowking gets absolutely bodied by the Kieran Black, despite it being my best switch into that, so no thanks. It's an alright answer to like Buzzwole, but Buzzwole's other stab and bug just like obliterates it. Slowking has a pretty ass matchup, I'm not gonna lie. There's a lot of stuff that picks on Slowking here, so I'm not bringing it. Nidoking is the kill leader on the team, but it's a little bit too slow to deal with a lot of the threats here. And I can't just like abuse his walls because I think he's going to bring a much more offensive team. And his walls don't lose to Nidoking either. It's really only the Alolan Muck, and I'd have to run like Physical Earthquake for that or something along those lines. I thought about a Scarf Nidoking. It's really not worth my time. I just have... It doesn't have a great matchup, so I'm not bringing it. Diancie is something I did consider bringing my own Diancie. Again, it sort of loses to the same things as Slowking does to an extent. I'm a little bit worried about giving Lurantis free turns, and a lot of this stuff I was kind of considering over either Ferrothorn or Zapdos, and I'd really rather not replace either of those. They kind of just both have better matchups than this stuff. Alolan Persian really sucks against Diancie in particular. It doesn't have a good matchup against basically anything. The only thing it does is maybe threaten the Sigilyph from running a Stored Power set against me. That's about it. Knock off a berry on like Curse Muck or something like that, but I have double Earthquake spammers, so I'm not super concerned about the Muck overall against my triple ground. Passimian was okay as a Scarfer. Sigilyph picked on it a little bit. Buzzwole picked on it a little bit. I'd rather not open myself up to the Sigilyph or the Buzzwole, and actually Spiritomb picked on it a lot, which I'm not a fan of. And then Golisopod, would have loved to bring it like a banded set because that could have been like kind of low-key fire. But it, again, the Buzzwole kind of just like stands in front. Like having such a good physical wall like Buzzwole just kind of stands in front of a lot of the lower tier threats that I'd want to bring against this team. So that's gonna be for me. That's the team, and I will catch you guys for the match.